Dear Prime Minister Gharibaishvili, lieber Herr Minister Schmidt, dear ministers, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for me to open the Georgian-German Business Forum here in Berlin. Welcome, everybody. In less than 4 weeks, on June 27th, Georgia will sign the association agreement with the EU, including the deep and comprehensive free trade agreement. At the same time, as you know, the Eurasian Union takes shape with the signing of the agreement last week in Astana. Georgia has decided a long time ago to follow the European way. The presence of the Prime Minister, 5 ministers, 2 deputy ministers, and key economic players from Georgia show this impressively. We are sure that Georgia's way to Europe will be successful, and further steps of integration have to follow and will follow soon. In particular, I want to express my hope for visa-free travel. We discussed it this morning at the breakfast, that for visa-free travel for Georgians to the EU. Georgia is and will be a vital part of Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, within the last 18 months, the Committee on Eastern European Economic Relations has been twice in Georgia with high-ranked business delegations. And in February, we had the pleasure to meet Prime Minister Gharibaishvili in Munich. We could gain insight in what Georgia has done in terms of improving business climate, especially for foreign investors in the country. After massive investments in logistics centers and infrastructure, experts are sure that Georgia can stay a powerful cross-regional logistics hub. It is an often cited, but still impressive fact that Georgia is under the top 10 countries worldwide according to this year's Doing Business report. To be precise, Georgia is in the 8th place. So Georgia showed us what really ambitious economic policy is. The bilateral trade turnover between Germany and Georgia grew by more than 10% in the first quarter of 2014 compared to 2013. However, still being on an insufficient low level with less than €500 million per year. We are far from being euphoric when we look at Georgia's situation today. The crisis in Ukraine let the Georgian-Ukrainian trade shrink dramatically. The forecasted GDP growth of 4 to 5% will certainly be affected, at least to some extent, from the crisis. And that's why we understand that it is of vital interest for Georgia to strengthen economic ties with its European partners, to further diversify its business relationships with other countries. The signing of the association agreement will open new doors for Georgian companies in Europe and in Germany. We hope to support this process with today's business forum and want to raise awareness in German industry for business opportunities in Georgia. I wish all of us fruitful discussions and successful meetings today. Thank you very much, and I now would like to pass on the floor to Prime Minister Gharibaishvili for his opening speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is my great pleasure and privilege to be here today as part of my official visit to Germany. I would like to express my gratitude towards the Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Schmidt, towards the Committee on Eastern European Economic Relations, and personally Mr. Kurz, for organizing today's Georgian-German Business Forum. Thank you very much indeed. Many of you may have seen me here in Germany in this fascinating and enjoyable Wallstatt last week with my fellow colleagues, the Prime Ministers of Ukraine and Moldova. My frequent presence in Germany over the past week, as well as the steady engagement by many of my ministers, highlights how highly my government views the Georgia-German relationship. It is of vital importance to us and is a top priority. Germany has been a strong supporter and one of the foremost partners of Georgia ever since regaining our independence, supporting the social economic development, democratic consolidation, territorial integrity, and Euro-Atlantic aspirations of my country. Germany is one of those important Western European countries that can relate to where Georgia has been and where Georgia is going to. While I may be young, I spent my childhood, like many of you, in this room under the iron boot of the Soviet Union. We lived in poverty and darkness. But when the wall came down, we witnessed a new dawn over Georgia. It has been a hard journey over the last 21 years. Of course, things have not progressed as they have in Germany over the same time. However, we have made monumental strides. Georgia today is another world compared to 2 decades ago. Every aspect of our country, from health to education or to political stability and national security, and especially for the purpose of today's forum, economic development, has progressed in leaps and bounds. We now stand on the edge of even greater development, I would say. In just a few weeks, we will sign, as it was mentioned, our association agreement with the European Union, further integrating Georgia into a Europe whole, free, and at peace. My country has always been a European country. But this association agreement provides an essential avenue to rebuilding the family connection. That is why it is a very important historical moment. Of equal importance is the enactment of the new EU-Georgia Deep and Comprehensive Free Trade Agreement, which provides the roadmap, I would say, incentives and protections needed to finally bring the EU-Georgian trade to its full potential. The DCFTA will be one of the guiding lights of the new German-Georgia economic relationship. While the successes of Georgia's development is the result of the hard work of many over decades, the important reforms of my government has enacted over the last 2 years that has brought us to this important moment. We have focused all our efforts on building a solid foundation to consolidate Georgia's democracy and prosperity, to ensure that we will be a true and lasting part of Europe. Since 2012, we have elected a new parliament and president, representing the first peaceful democratic transition of power in Georgia, in Georgian history. Building on this democratic breakthrough, we launched an aggressive program to strengthen human rights and judicial independence, with the generous help of our friends in Europe. And as you all know, a country like Georgia can have the lowest tax rates in the world and many other business incentives, but investors will not come if there is no rule of law. At least not the investors you want. We have brought the rule of law back to Georgia, and we have ended government impunity. Georgia is not only open for business, but it is safe for business. The top goal of my government is to ensure and guarantee macroeconomic stability, open, fair competition in the market, proper protection of property and intellectual rights, freedom of access to an independent judicial system, effective financial systems, and a stable, predictable, and transparent legislative environment. For you, investing in Georgia will be as safe as investing in any country in Europe, except that your costs and taxes will be lower. There will be fewer regulatory burdens, and your returns will be higher. This forum provides an excellent opportunity to explore how to deepen economic ties between Georgia and Germany. I would also like to take this opportunity to invite you to the Georgia EU International Investors Conference, which will take place in Tbilisi on June 12th and 13th. President of the European Commission, Mr. Barroso, is coming to Tbilisi, and we will open this investment conference. Over the last 2 years, dear friends, my country experienced significant economic expansion. Its business-friendly policies, strong regional trade relations, and location at the crossroads between Europe and the Asian continent will only continue to encourage growth and attract international investment. I can show you some statistics. Georgia's economy grew 3.2% in 2013, and we have seen a 7.4% increase in GDP in the first quarter of this year. The World Bank ranks Georgia 8th in the world for its ease of doing business, making it one of the top global economies for starting and operating a business. And our foreign trade only continues to grow. In the first 3 months of 2014, trade expanded 18% year to year to $2.5 billion. And in fact, Georgia enjoys free trade with all its neighbors. And this is also very important because building on these relationships, exports increased 20% to over $1 billion in 2013. And this growth continued in 2014 with a 23% year-to-year increase in exports in the first 3 months. And estimates indicate that the DCFTA will increase Georgia's exports to the EU by 12% and imports from the European Union by 7.5%. In the first 3 months of 2014, Georgia's trade turnover with the European Union grew by 15%, with an amazing 45% year-to-year increase in exports and 9% increase in imports. This was without the DCFTA being in force. We cannot wait for the DCFTA to unlock the full potential of this trade. Domestically, our economy is expanding rapidly, supported by important market-oriented reforms and investment programs. The Georgian agriculture sector, I have my Minister of Agriculture here, grew nearly 10% last year. Industrial output increased almost 7%. And tourism, I want to underline the potential of tourism. It is on the rise. About 5 million people visited Georgia in 2013, 21% more than in 2012. And it is just starting. There's a huge potential. To build on these successes, we are investing hundreds of millions of dollars to support the expansion of the agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism sectors. This also includes infrastructure projects through direct government action and establishing new public-private partnerships. Additionally, we recognize that the health and education of Georgia's people are key to the success of our economy. As a result, we are investing huge sums in dramatically improving education and healthcare, especially in rural areas. And all these reforms have not gone unnoticed, and Georgia is attracting more and more foreign investment. We already have several successful cases of German investments in Georgia, in such sectors as heavy industry, agriculture, and finance. To attract more foreign investment, we have launched numerous initiatives to help reduce risks and increase returns. On the grand scale, new public and private investment funds with billions at their disposal have been established to help finance foreign investments in our country. And at the micro level, we just launched a new initiative called Produce in Georgia to support smaller manufacturing and agricultural projects. I will also mention two other major developments that are game changers, I would say, for our country, and that present great opportunities for Europe generally and German companies specifically. First is our strategic location. While Georgia's location is not new, our infrastructure is. We have invested heavily in our roads, rail, and ports. Goods can now transit through Georgia from Asia to Europe and back again with surprisingly ease and low costs. Furthermore, because we enjoy free trade with all our neighbors, including the CIS countries, Turkey, and now the European Union, manufacturers looking for a much safer and easier business environment are choosing to establish their factories in our country and utilize our great transit services to ship their products tariff-free around the region. And I predict that with the DCFTA, small manufacturers looking to sell to Europe or Russia, Ukraine, or Turkey will move their operations to more friendly Georgia. Second, and also due to Georgia's strategic location, we are playing a very important role in the energy independence of Europe. Georgia supports the only route for Caspian Sea oil and gas to travel to Europe without going through Russian-controlled territory or pipelines. Last year, just an example, the Shah Deniz consortium, led by BP, announced a massive expansion of South Caucasus pipeline through Azerbaijan and Georgia. This is another important project. The expansion will lead to approximately 1 billion in the newest investment by the consortium in Georgia and result in Georgia receiving significant quantities of natural gas as part of the transit agreement. And as a result of Georgia's abundant and growing hydropower capacity and this supply of natural gas, Georgia is becoming a net exporter of energy. And more importantly, energy prices in Georgia are falling regularly, and the source of that energy is getting greener and greener. As such, Georgia is not only a great place for manufacturing and agricultural exports, it is a great place for any industry that consumes large amounts of power. We are even seeing high energy-consuming computer server farms beginning to move to Georgia, attracted by our cheap energy and well-trained engineers. So Georgia and Germany enjoy a close partnership, and we are here to make it even stronger and broader. And this is my main message. We, as the government, can be an enabling instrument, but it is up to business to seize on the opportunity. We would like the business community to see us as reliable partners, predictable, and stable partners. My team is ready to work with you to make your entry into Georgia as easy and profitable as possible. And once again, I would like to thank the organizers and all of you for your interest and time. I wish you all the best for a very productive conference. And once again, I would like to invite you to Georgia this month for the Georgia EU Investment Forum. Thank you very much indeed.